Hey, hey. All right, guys, I can't believe we're doing a trilogy. This is part 3 because I felt like we left it one more time on a cliffhanger. And I'm like, huh, okay, this one, I swear, we're going to wrap the storyline up and get it a little bit tighter, a little shorter. But um, I don't know. Maybe we didn't need a part 3. I just felt like whatever this sudden reach out on his part was going to be. Now, if you didn't see part 1 and part 2, you're going to be lost. So you definitely need to watch those first. In the description box, you'll find the free link to part 1. When you watch that, you'll find the free link to part 2 in part 1, and they all link together. But here we go. So he's got his mind on that Queen of Pentacles, right? We know that. But then there is that waver of sorrow in him. Like he does have some kind of like off night. I said, I don't know if we're headed for like a drunk dial or a random late night text or something, because he's hitting some rock bottom. Actually, this 10 of Swords in part 2 it came out in the reverse. So it's like a painful ending that just is seemingly never ending. It's the Venn diagram of pain. It's that 3 of Swords here. And this is him taking action, loving action, all of a sudden out of the blue because of I don't know if he has a really particularly tough, we know he has a toxic environment that he is in, but he may have a very particularly toxic, day or night or something. And all of a sudden it's just like his desire to talk to this Queen of Pentacles that he has fallen for with this love at first sight, but brief encounter. And they have this telepathic bond. That is the person who I think he's reaching out to with that Knight of Cups. And that's why I thought we need to look at this, because what is this element? We have a 5 of Pentacles and a Page of Cups. It's definitely him reaching out. And it may be at a time when she, the Empress / Queen of Pentacles, is feeling the same. I mean, she may be outdoors looking up the night sky, thinking about him. These two have such a strong bond that if she is suddenly feeling this wave of, I met that really wonderful person, and although I cherish the fact that I met them at all, it is such a bummer that there's so much, in between us, such a great chasm between us and our lives, that all we have is a 5D telepathic bond. She may be like kind of longing for him, or feeling like an essence of like the energy of how distant they truly are from each other, and lamenting that at the very moment that he reaches out. With this Page of Cups, this is like, look, for two people that are so connected, there's definitely going to be a timely, like right when she's thinking of him is right when he reaches out. But it's interesting because it's at a time where he personally is feeling like really low. But here's the thing, she's feeling really alone also. He's having like a low point in his life, maybe something more toxic than usual happened in his environment, but she's over here feeling very much out on her own with that 8 of Cups. And I think her mind turns to him and it's like, man, I sure wish that I had a partner beside me, or it is a little tough to be an Empress who walks by herself. Page of Swords, wow, that's really going to confirm for her that there is some kind of a bond with that Page of Swords. This is like gathering information. It can be the card of spying, but it can be the card of just like gaining comprehension. Like all these little clues come together and it's like, okay, wait a second. This is not just a brief meeting with a kindred soul that I now have a telepathic connection to. This means a lot more than that. This means a great deal more than that. Now, she might have even bothered to like spy on him just a little bit, but wow, it's this is definitely the meeting of the minds. All of this is still done in such a subtle way, but you notice how it's obvious to her now. This person is my 4 of Wands. I just understood he sees me as his 4 of Wands too. We're breaking through the silent connection and the subtle, I feel bonded to you, but there's not much we can do about it at the moment, even though he's had plans to gravitate toward her. But this is more like, okay, this is now, there's evidence that says we are something. We are going to end up together, aren't we? It's more like it's dawning on her that this is actually a real possibility now. It's not just that she met somebody wonderful, but it was a brief moment. I know that he cared about me. I know I saw a moment of his heart also, but there's nothing more that can happen between us. This is like, oh my God, this we might actually really end up together. He's thinking about me the same time I'm thinking about him. He's reaching out to me at the same time I needed to hear from him. It does feel like this Queen of Pentacles slash Empress is getting more attuned to what her needs are, which is good. I'm not saying that now she's hyper focused on him, but this is her starting to recognize, like, I do want certain things in my life. My life has been blossoming, but I would like partnership now. And I almost think that this is important because I think she's starting to be that gravitational pull. And if he's having more upheaval in his life, more toxicity, and that finally breaks down his, like, I want to come toward her, but everything has to be just perfect. Maybe he needs to just reach out to her and get things going now. Queen of Pentacles again. Too much time is passing. Years are passing. Months are passing. He wants to be with that Queen of Pentacles. She's a major magnet for him. She is somebody that he sees as his permanent person. And it's almost like it's so crazy because these two have a bond of love before they've ever dated. These two have a bond where they want to be together before they've ever even been able to develop all the rest of the structure. This is two people that already see a future together. And it's like, despite the obstacles, despite this great chasm between their lives, it's time to just hop across the chasm or grab a hold of a rope swing. I'm thinking in that film Romancing the Stone, where they like swing on a vine across this huge gorge. It's time to swing across to the other side. It doesn't make sense. These two don't really have a huge, 3D bond. They had a brief meeting in maybe the 3D, and everything else has been the 5D bond. But at this point, it's almost time for that leap of faith. And I think he knew that this was coming. Maybe that's why we had the Fool card for him before. But he's ready to take this leap, partially because his life is getting more toxic. It's not where he's supposed to be. He's longing more and more for her, who he has admired from the beginning, who he thinks, this is the person I'm supposed to end up with. I kind of think that we're about to see them do something very brave, even though it starts with this one simple conversation. I almost think that these two are going to bypass, especially with the Justice card sideways, they're going to bypass the expectations of, the typical protocol that we would expect characters to go through. Okay, we met, there's some stuff that, needs to be different before we can be together. Then we have to start talking. Then we have to maybe date a little bit. Then we have to slowly get to know each other. I almost feel like this is going to be a Geronimo into one another's lives. With the Justice card here, maybe that's why they met, because how else are we going to set things right for these two? They've met each other across time and space. We had the Justice card before where I said it was like, the Empress or Queen of Pentacles was acknowledging like we're at such opposite ends of the world. It's such a huge chasm, and it's so unfortunate because I can see we're both at this doorway of love. I can see that they love me in an instant. I know that there's something between us, but there's nothing we can do about it because we're worlds apart. Now it's like, so build a bridge. Grab a hold of that vine and swing across the gorge, swing across the chasm. Why do you have to be worlds apart? The world's not such a big place. Why do you have to follow some protocol? If your hearts, maybe your hearts are the bridge. Seven of Swords sideways, there's this worry. What if we're lying to ourselves? What if this is all BS? What if this isn't a bond? It's so crazy because I wish that I can't really exactly, I can show it like this way. It's really hard to twist my arms around, but it's funny because as I've laid these cards down, it literally, these two being sideways, they are building the bridge between him and her. And I'm literally, they're on, the sideways cards are a bridge. They're touching both sides. And I'm like, oh, that's funny. We've got the little bridge going on in this story physically too. Queen of Swords. That Queen of Swords, back in part one, we saw that they needed to close out a cycle with a Queen of Swords who was already kind of like letting them go. You know what's ironic? Even though the Queen of Swords, I've described it as somebody who they care about, who they know is a great person, who they maybe tried romance with, who they knew that they weren't like in love and she's not in love with them, but they're friends and but how do they like terminate whatever the contract was? It almost feels like the Queen of Swords is not a blockage. The Queen of Swords already is feeling like the writing's on the wall. I think it's time for us to part ways. with him, the magician, it almost feels like she's going to maybe give them some sound advice of like, what do you mean? You know, you and I we're friends more than we've ever been in romance, right? And honestly, don't you think you should follow your heart? Why are you worried? Like, what if I'm crazy? I feel in love with this Queen of Pentacles, but I don't even know her. I almost feel like the Queen of Swords is going to be the one who gives them some kind of sound advice about like, well, you're not going to get to know anybody unless you gravitate toward them anyway. So why don't you just go do it? She's speaking truth about a bridge, about building that bridge, about connecting to this person. This is crazy. This could be either be her saying, you know what, I think this is a good time for us to part ways. You know, I hope you meet somebody that you really love. You know, you and me were more friends, and I'm actually going to be leaving. I'm moving to England, or I'm leaving. I'm doing other things. She's always been very independent, this Queen of Swords, that they were involved with in some way, but more as like friendship. She could be terminating a connection with them, but also sending them onward with love, because she's always doing it with a really kind energy. She might actually say to them, you seem so heartbroken. That Three of Swords, you seem so heartbroken. I feel like you got to find your happiness. Do what you need to find your happiness, because I'm super content in my own life. She may break it off with them, but give them some very sage advice that they then apply to building that bridge to the Queen of Pentacles. Knight of Wands upright. It's very much like you need to follow your heart. You don't think, go instead with what your heart says. You never know how anything in life is going to work out. Look at us. We're friends more than lovers. You know, I want the best for you, but I think you should start following your heart more. I feel like she, as a Queen of Swords, is going to tell them to pursue. I don't know if she knows anything about them being in love with the Queen of Pentacles, or that this has been something that they've held secretly in their mind and their heart, but I just think she's very matter of fact. It's interesting, isn't it, that a previous connection would give them the best advice of their life, which is to follow their heart and see where it leads. You know, give things a try if this is, so that you really don't walk around feeling miserable or feeling like you can't do the thing you want. Who's in charge of your life? You are. If your heart tells you you want to try something, why don't you go try it then? Better than walking around wringing your hands, feeling sad, feeling like you're missing out on something that you want. That is amazing advice coming from a very beautiful ex. This Queen of Swords was like incredible, very sage. I feel like now we understand why it was important for them to have had time with that Queen of Swords as both a friend, a companion, you know, if it was, we never saw love there, but I think that these two have some element of, you know, obviously like a human caring for each other. It's very interesting that she might be the one who pushes them toward that Queen of Pentacles. I definitely feel like she's cutting them loose, possibly because she's like, listen, you kind of getting mopey. I'm kind of over it. You need to go follow your heart and get happy. What are you doing acting like everything's falling apart around you and you're miserable? You need to get your happy on. The only person in charge of that's you, babe. Go for it. Go do what you need to do for you. I'm going to peace out, but you know, I wish you the best, but follow your heart for a change, huh? I feel like she's this matter of fact, awesome voice in their world. Okay, so what does that mean then? Is he about to just, and we know that he's kind of like drunk dial reaching out kind of to the Queen of Pentacles, or suddenly reaching out to the Queen of Pentacles, and that confirms for the Queen, because she's been feeling kind of lonely right now also. It confirms for the Queen of Pentacles / Empress character, there is a bond here. This is legit. Ace of Wands. Everything is all fired up. It's so crazy how she keeps recognizing, I believe this is the person I'm going to marry, which is nuts because I barely met them, but I've been in love with them from the first sight. And now they're reaching out to me at such an important time. And it's the confirmation that there is a bond. It's not just telepathic, and it's not just I met a kindred soul, but oh, well, I guess I can't be with them in this lifetime. No, this is real possible. This is really plausible that we're ending up together. I feel like this is the moment where these two, again, it's bridging that chasm between their worlds. What are you going to do? How are you going to respond? Because they're definitely reaching out to you, Queen of Pentacles. How are you going to respond to him? 10 of Swords. She may talk very blunt to them and ask them point blank, you know, obviously, let's lay all the cards on the table here. This is going to be one and done, or this is going to be something serious. If there are things in your life that made you notice me, feel feels for me, and you're in a situation in your own life that's coming to a close, then why don't you just come into my world? If you're ready to make a big life transformation, you're reaching out to me for a reason. We both know that there's a bond here. We're acknowledging it now. So why not just change a cycle in your life? Why not come here? This is very much, grab your carry-on suitcase and just leave. Just exit whatever you're doing then and come my way. And with the Magician, I almost feel like this is always what he imagined it would be like, or dreamed that this could go this way. This is very much about like changing worlds. And sometimes, we change our life and we change our world slowly. And other times it's this great cataclysmic event. It's a big bang. It's a moment of an epiphany. Or in this case, it's that the bottom was dropping out of his world anyway. Things were ending. The writing was on the wall. He's reached that end point where it's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I know where I want to be, but I don't know how to like smoothly transition and start trying to date and follow all the protocols. And it's kind of because this is the time to jump. In this storyline, this is I'm taking this leap for love with somebody that I feel bonded to. He's not like desperate and he has no place to live. It's that he's reached a point of saturation that what he's been doing doesn't work anymore. And it's so obvious, and it's really time for the change. And sometimes we don't make the really big change in our life until we hit our low point, and then we go, I can't do this anymore. The writing's on the wall. And now I'm brave enough to go ahead and at least reach out, do what I really need to do, what I've needed to do for a long time. And that's when we get the best results. At least in this storyline, that is how these two end up together. Wow, that was, I feel like he is traveling her way. And it almost feels like deep down, this is the way it was always going to go. Maybe this is what he always wished it would be like, is can we just get to, like I want to bet on this. This is a sure thing. We have the Chariot, no joke. This is following one's heart to the letter. This is trusting in love. This is taking the big leap. It's rare in life maybe that we would risk taking that big of a jump, that big of a leap, but this is like, I'm really going to do it. This is it. I'm doing it. Here we go. Here I go. This is the real deal now. I'm hearing Miguel, sure thing. Beautiful song. That's a great track to end this on. All right, you guys, I'm going to leave this here finally. No fourth part. We'll just end it here on the third. All right, take care. Thanks for being here. Thanks for a thumbs up.